One of my favorite topics is websites. There are infinite possibilities on how to create a website, and the technology is always changing alongside different strategies to get your target audience to come to your website and to click on the call to action that you want. That's why I love talking about this topic so much. It's just so different all the time. Now, what you're about to listen to is my interview with Jenny Bristow, CEO of HIPAA. I caught up with her because she's been doing a lot of work recently with healthcare providers on revamping their websites to make them more appealing to patients. Now, what she has to say also appeals or is also applicable to B2B organizations as well. Hello and welcome to Sway Health, where we bring you the latest insights and interesting stories from the brightest minds in healthcare marketing. I'm Colin Hung, and I hope you enjoy this interview with Jenny Bristow. Jenny, welcome to the program.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited too because normally when we talk, I usually only have you on camera and it's for like 2 minutes. This is the first time we're going to have a chance to get more in depth and tap into that big brain of yours.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Now, Jenny, one of the topics that I want to talk to you about is something that you're saying is coming up a lot more recently, and that is websites. Talk to me about what your clients are asking or demanding of you in terms of the work they want to do on their websites.
Oh, great question, Colin. So we're seeing two main trends. The first one is, I feel like this comes in cycles of now everybody's considering a website redo project, right? Most people had finished a project pre-COVID. Now it's been enough years, and they have the emotional and organizational energy and budget to put forth for a full website redo. So we have a lot of people looking at it as far as wanting to be able to take the next step in improving patient journey, workflows, digital front door, let's really improve it. But the other thing we're seeing is seeing it as an opportunity to really have a fresh start. When you're thinking about patient privacy, all of those lingering tags or technologies, a lot of groups we're talking to are thinking about website redos as a way to just start fresh. Yeah, we'll do an audit and see what exists through the lens of marketing, but let's completely scrap our digital ecosystem and start over in a compliant fashion.
Now, is this start over because what they have is just too unwieldy, or is it just, you know what, let's just completely forget about the assumptions we made in the past and let's start with something brand new?
Kind of both. Okay. I'll also say there's another third thing that's very powerful is new marketing leadership.
Okay.
You know, a lot of organizations right before COVID, in the very beginning COVID, marketing leadership shook up. Now we're seeing that happen again in a lot of organizations. And often whenever new leadership comes in, they have a specific vision about the way that they want their marketing groups to operate. And a lot of times that results in technology or marketing collateral, such as website redos.
And so when you're approaching these redos, Jenny, is there anything that you recommend people do as a first step to get them set up properly for the website project?
Yeah, one of the most important things is really thinking about the audiences you're serving and the key actions they are trying to accomplish. So a lot of the technologies like Hotjar, Lucky Orange, Crazy Egg, all of those things that we used to use to be able to track user journeys through a website, a lot of them are really coming into question through the lens of patient privacy. So you may not be able to have that same level of quantitative and qualitative insight when you're going into a website redo. So we recommend really stepping back, looking at what data you do have access to, but then also thinking about what is the ideal patient journey? What are people that are really doing an amazing job in our space doing to service patients online, and then begin pulling those ideas together. One of the things that I know a lot of the folks that we chat to in healthcare are a little frustrated about is it feels like you're always trying to improve the status quo versus throwing out, old expression, baby with the bathwater, and kind of starting over, taking those learnings that you had, of course, but not being tied to any sort of technical infrastructure, code base, whatever. And so that's something that if people are wanting to undergo that right now, we really encourage them to think bigger than incremental improvements.
Now, we can't talk about a website redo without talking about some of the new compliance requirements that are coming out around HIPAA, what is or isn't a HIPAA violation when it comes to third-party tracking.
Yes.
What are you doing, and then what are you hearing in terms of that challenge for healthcare organizations?
Great question. So the big thing that we try to tell people over and over, and I spoke about it this morning in my session, is it's not just marketing tracking and third-party pixels. It's so much bigger than that. the first thing we recommend everybody do, and this is something they can do internally, you don't have to hire a partner to do this, is to do a really comprehensive audit of your digital ecosystem and figure out what in the world are we doing? What platforms and technologies are we using? What data are they collecting? Who has access to it? How are we sharing it? Even things like what marketing tactics you're doing within the platforms are now things that need to come under question. For example, lookalike audiences, remarketing, a lot of that is no longer allowed. So in a lot of these conversations about HIPAA, people are thinking, oh, remove the tags. It's much bigger than that. And so doing a comprehensive audit within a group's internal team is a great way to kind of get a feel for how much do we need to rework our organizational processes to become compliant.
Right, it's almost like an internal risk assessment to say,
Yes.
listen, we need to know where you are in order to decide how far we want to take the compliance.
Absolutely. One of the things that I talk about in my session this morning is using a tool like builtwith.com to do an outside assessment. It does a scan of all of the tags on your website to let you know what is there. Whenever we do audits, usually about 30% of the technologies we find our clients didn't know existed. Think about like old agency partners that hard-coded tags, prior employees that maybe built a web form using a certain technology that nobody there knows exists anymore. And so using tools like builtwith.com, it's a free website. You enter your website in and it tells you what all technologies are operating on your site, what tags exist, et cetera. That's a great starting point for an audit, and then you can start getting digging deeper.
Dig deeper. I hear you. I hear you. And with the landscape changing, with all the new lawsuits and all the different things happening, we know where we are today is not where we're going to be.
Yeah.
But we also recognize that we're not going to go back to what it was,
Exactly.
where it was Wild West. There's going to be some restrictions, and so you kind of get your ducks in a row in terms of understanding where you are.
Yeah, at least even understanding what exists. And then starting to have that conversation with your legal team and your marketing team of saying, how do we want to show up as a brand? Do we really want to put patient data privacy first? Is that going to be one of our hallmarks as an organization? Or are we okay kind of working more in some shade of gray because we think that there is benefit from that from a marketing perspective? You have to decide what your own brand ethos is, and then you can set guidelines for the technologies and processes based off of that.
Are you seeing any themes come through the projects that you're being asked to work on? Are the website redesigns mostly patient focused? Is it mostly digital front end? Is it more like a digital front door, sorry? Like, is there any sort of theme to the work that you're being asked to do?
I'd say consolidation and cleanup is
Okay.
a really big theme. So for example, a lot of groups that we're talking with and work that we're doing, they're wanting to loop in, perhaps in the past they had pulled out their recruiting or HR website, a foundation or fundraising website. Now they're wanting to pull it back all in within the same ecosystem because there's a lot of benefit and reduction of costs, headaches, team bandwidth, whenever you're managing one ecosystem versus multiples. So we're seeing a lot of consolidation, which we really like. We think there's a lot of benefit to that for the end user to not have to navigate around to find ancillary properties. So again, as long as you're keeping that end user in mind when you're thinking about that user journey, then that's probably the best route forward.
Where can people go to find more information about you and your team, and perhaps if they want to engage with you to do some of this website work?
Yeah, we would love that. We are accepting projects for 2024. So our brand is Hetty and Hop, which is named after Hetty Lamar and Grace Hopper, just a nod to the two women who made the internet what it is today. They can go to our website, hettyandhop.com. But we also have our podcast, which Sway Health named the 2023 Healthcare Agency Podcast of the Year. We so
did.
appreciate you. It's called We Are Marketing Happy, and we've covered lots of topics, including website redesign projects that they can go in and listen to some of the big industry leaders talking about how they tackled projects like this and advice they would give.
Yeah, and I got to say, anybody who's listening and watching this, if you've not checked out your podcast, you definitely have to. It's so much fun to listen to.
Thank you.
Yes.
Appreciate that.
Jenny, well, thank you for being on the program today and for sharing all this great information.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Hey, I want to thank Jenny for coming on camera with me and talking to us about websites, website theory, and all the latest trends that she's seeing from her clients. I especially appreciated her advice on doing an audit to make sure you know where you stand in terms of risk profile and whether or not you're in compliance, because the rules, as we heard, are always changing. And hey, if you enjoyed this interview as much as I did, please like and subscribe. Also, head on over to Sway Health, that's Sway with 2 A's, .health. That's where you'll find more great content like this. I'm Colin Hung. Thanks for being here, and I'll catch you on the next video.